What is a credit shelter trust? A credit shelter trust, also known as a bypass or family trust, is designed to help minimize estate taxes by allowing you to pass a specific amount of assets to your beneficiaries, separate from your surviving spouse's estate. This strategic tool can make a significant difference in how your estate is handled and taxed, providing long-term benefits to your family. Credit shelter trusts not only facilitate efficient wealth transfer but also ensure that your assets are managed according to your wishes after you pass away. If you're considering integrating a credit shelter trust into your estate strategy, collaborating with a skilled Nassau County trust attorney from Schlessel Law PLLC can be extremely beneficial. Our team can assist with the careful drafting of your trust, tailor it to fit your specific needs, and help maintain compliance with New York law. The basics of credit shelter trusts. A credit shelter trust, CST, also known as a bypass trust or family trust, is designed to help married couples avoid or minimize federal estate taxes when the first spouse passes away. In New York, this type of trust is particularly relevant due to the state's own estate tax regulations, which might differ from federal tax rules. The primary purpose of a credit shelter trust is to utilize the estate tax exemption of the deceased spouse, thereby maximizing the amount that can be passed on to heirs without being subject to high estate taxes. Upon the death of the first spouse, assets up to the amount of the exemption limit are transferred into the trust. How do credit shelter trusts work under New York law? While many people would not need to worry about hitting the estate tax exemptions, especially considering the 2024 federal estate tax exemption of $13.61 million per individual, proper planning is necessary to avoid potentially high taxes. The federal estate tax exemption means that an individual's estate can be up to $13.61 million before incurring federal estate taxes. For married couples, this exemption effectively doubles to $27.22 million when both spouses' exemptions are combined. However, there are scenarios where estate taxes may still apply without careful planning. If the surviving spouse does not elect portability and the deceased spouse's entire estate is left to them, the size of the surviving spouse's estate could exceed the federal exemption limit. Changes in legislation could reduce the federal estate tax exemption after a couple has set their estate plans, potentially leading to unexpected taxes. On a state level, New York imposes its estate tax in addition to the federal tax, and unlike the federal tax, New York does not allow for portability of the estate tax exemption between spouses. Without proper planning, if one spouse dies and leaves everything to the other, no taxes are due immediately under the unlimited marital deduction. However, taxes will be due on the total value of the estates of both spouses when the second spouse passes. If the estate exceeds New York's exemption limit, the estate tax is not only applied on the amount over the exemption but on the entire estate value. How does a credit shelter trust operate? The operation of a credit shelter trust in Nassau County, under New York law, involves several steps. Creation of the trust. The trust is established by the settlers, typically as part of their broader estate plan. Transfer of assets. Upon the death of the first spouse, assets up to the New York estate tax exemption limit are transferred into the trust. This transfer is typically structured to happen automatically based on the terms outlined in the estate planning documents. Management of trust assets. The trustee manages these assets. This management might include investing the assets, distributing income generated by the trust to the surviving spouse, or using the principal for the spouse's benefit under certain circumstances. Benefit to surviving spouse. The surviving spouse enjoys the benefits of the trust, such as receiving income, without owning the assets, which helps preserve the trust principal for future beneficiaries. Why add a credit shelter trust to your estate plan? For individuals and families in Nassau County, New York, considering the long-term future of their estates, a credit shelter trust, CST, presents numerous advantages. Tax advantages for estate planning. One of the primary benefits of establishing a credit shelter trust is the significant tax savings it can offer. Under current New York law, the estate tax exemption amount is $6,940,000 per individual in 2024. This means that if an individual's estate is valued under this amount, it may not be subject to New York state estate taxes. Protecting the beneficiaries' interests. Another significant advantage of a credit shelter trust is the enhanced protection it offers to beneficiaries. Assets placed in a CST are protected from the claims of creditors, including possible legal judgments against the beneficiaries. Comparison of credit shelter trusts with other trust types. In the diverse landscape of estate planning, Various types of trusts are used to achieve different financial, legal, and personal goals. Credit Shelter Trust versus Marital Trust. Both credit shelter trusts and marital trusts are used in estate planning to benefit spouses and manage estate taxes, but they serve different purposes and are structured differently. Purpose and function. A credit shelter trust is designed to maximize the estate tax exemption of each spouse, allowing assets up to the exemption limit to be protected from estate taxes upon the death of the second spouse. In contrast, a marital trust, also known as a trust, is designed to provide financial benefits to the surviving spouse and delay the payment of estate taxes until after the surviving spouse's death. Tax treatment. Assets in a credit shelter trust bypass the surviving spouse's estate, avoiding estate taxes upon their death. Marital trusts, however, are taxable in the surviving spouse's estate, although they provide unlimited marital deduction at the first spouse's death. Control and access. The surviving spouse can have limited control over the assets in a credit shelter trust and may receive income from the trust, depending on how it is set up. In a marital trust, the surviving spouse typically has full access to the trust income and, depending on the trust terms, may also have access to the principal. Differences between credit shelter trusts and irrevocable trusts. While a credit shelter trust is a type of irrevocable trust, not all irrevocable trusts are credit shelter trusts. Understanding their differences is important. Flexibility. Once established, both types of trusts generally cannot be altered. However, the terms and purpose of other irrevocable trusts can vary widely, such as irrevocable life insurance trusts or charitable trusts, which serve specific functions beyond estate tax planning. Control over assets. Credit shelter trusts specifically allow a decedent to control the disposition of assets after their death, benefiting the surviving spouse and then other beneficiaries per the trust's terms. Other irrevocable trusts might be used for asset protection from creditors or to hold life insurance policies outside of the taxable estate. When to choose a credit shelter trust over a revocable trust. Deciding between a credit shelter trust and a revocable trust depends on the goals of the estate plan. Estate tax considerations. If minimizing estate taxes is a primary concern, and the estate exceeds the New York exemption limits, a credit shelter trust is advantageous as it shelters assets from estate tax upon the death of the second spouse. Revocable trusts, while offering flexibility and control during the grantor's lifetime, do not provide these tax benefits because the assets in a revocable trust are considered part of the taxable estate at death. Control and protection. A credit shelter trust offers more protective measures for the assets against future claims or creditors compared to a revocable trust. Assets in a revocable trust remain accessible to creditors during the grantor's lifetime. Flexibility. If retaining control over the assets during one's lifetime is more important, and immediate tax benefits are not a concern, a revocable trust may be preferable. In Nassau County, trust attorneys play a critical role in assisting individuals and families with the creation of credit shelter trusts, CSTs, which are essential for effective estate planning. At Schlessel Law PLLC, a skilled Nassau County trusts attorney can guide you through the process of creating a credit shelter trust that aligns with your specific estate planning goals. We can offer personalized consultation to understand your unique needs and design a trust that addresses your specific financial and familial circumstances. Call Schlessel Law PLLC at 516-574-9630 today for a consultation and to see if a credit shelter trust can be the next addition to your estate plan.